Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Miss Silly Lessons Learned. Today, I have a very special guest. Javi Escalante is actually one of my former students. Javi, can you take a moment to tell everyone, what class you had, in high school with me, and what was your experience like?
Yeah, no, it was great. You were my English teacher in 11. Was it junior, I believe? So
Yes.
English, yeah. It was really fun. I remember it was a really mixed bag of students because we had like seniors who were like a grade behind or like an English level behind. So it was a really cool class, but we always had very cool projects that we did, group and individual. Um, None, and that's I think why I reached out to you randomly one time. I was just like, you know what, this is really it's kind of cool that I found you on social media, and I was like, I'm just gonna shoot her a message and say thank you for like making high school so fun, making
Yeah.
English so fun, and for someone who English is a second language. I'm Spanish speaker is my native tongue. I always loved English and the intricacies of like what the language is and writing and just reading all of it because I had to learn it. So it's something that I always wanted to get better at. And it was always my favorite class.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Javi, thank you so much for saying that you actually love English and love literature, love reading and writing. I'm really, happy to hear that because a lot of kids they hate it. They're like they don't want to read, they don't want to write. I'll be excited. Oh, the Adventure of German student! I can hardly wait to the end. Like can you figure out what happened to him? Who his love is, and they're like, okay, whatever, Miss Silly. So,
I
Javi,
hate math.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hate math
Yeah.
too. I'm the
That's what I do.
Asian that can't do math. Nobody tried to cheat off of me in high school. Okay, I was that Asian, you know. But Javi, so thank you for saying that. But Javi, I just want to quickly, tell the audience about my impression of you as a student. When you were young. I mean, it's been 20 years, right, Javi? And
Mhm.
you really haven't changed much. You know how like uh the way you are, Javi, like you always have like a quiet intelligence about you. Like you're always thinking about things, like your wheel is always churning. It's like one of those, you are one of like those kids. Okay, I still call you kids, even though you like, grown, right? But you are one of those kids who were like a deep thinker. And you really were interested though in like asking the why and the how, what happened, and why is it like this and that. But you would
Mhm.
have that goofy laugh too, though, right? When you
Yeah.
think about those things, right? And I think that's what I remember the most about you is that you had like a intelligence, a quiet intelligence about you, but you are like a deep thinker, and I'm glad that to see what you are doing right now. I'm interested in hearing about that. Javi, how did you get to where you are? What happened to you after high school? Can you talk about your journey?
Yeah. So I wanted to be an architect. That's what I wanted to do. And on the advice of one of my uncles who studied architecture, he said, go to like find the newest technology and follow that because that's going to be your path. So I decided instead of going to a traditional university, I went to a trade school for automated drafting. I want to learn 3D art, how to how to draft instead of on pen and paper on a computer. Um, and I hated it. I did it. I hated it. Absolutely
Wow.
hated it. Decided to get out of it. And, I was poor for a while. I was in Phoenix. I was trying to pay rent. I was working part time at UPS from like 8 p.m. to like 4 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, loading trucks because I desperately wanted to make it on my own. And I figured I'll go back to traditional college and at least start working on generals, get that out of the way. But the expense was too much. So I had to basically accept it that I wasn't going to be able to be out in Phoenix, but maybe I could go back to Yuma and be with my family, live at home, and go about it that way. Get financial aid, get my generals done until I figured out what I wanted to do. But it was I felt it might be dark, but I fell into like a really bad depression. So I was just kind of home and doing nothing. And, my mom eventually just said, like, you have to do something. You can't just lay around, go back to school. Like, let's,
Yeah.
do it. Because I was always I was always like leaving it for later. I was like, well, I'll go in the fall. Well, I'll make it in the spring. I want to figure out what I want to do. And yeah, went back to school full time and decided, all right, I got to fill my schedule with something. So I got into one of the only courses that I could really jump into was history of theater, which I found very interesting, kind of because of what you said. Um, I've always been a deep thinker because I think I like to observe things.
Yes.
I like to see how things are composed. So even now with my job, that's I everybody's looking at the talent, and I'm always kind of looking at the background. I know the talent is probably good, they're lit well, but did anybody leave like a water bottle out or a coffee mug out that is out, that doesn't belong in the frame? So that's kind of where I'm always looking. So sometimes when I do look very pensive, it's just like I'm just trying to scan every inch of the frame that I'm about to put on TV. And that helped me do that, because even though it was stage productions that we were working on, I could see the scope and it made sense to me. And because of that, I figured they put, like, my professor, he's like, he's like, you have a really good eye. Why don't you try editing, like go into like film editing? So I did that. And again, loved it, loved everything about it, loved how different stories are cut differently to like make an impact. And it was just natural. It was one of those things I didn't know I was good at. I just enjoyed it, and everybody liked even when I thought it was kind of like, oh, this is kind of shit, like this isn't good. Like somebody would always say like, oh, that's really good. I would have never thought of doing that. And then you were like, oh, okay, all right, like maybe take the self-doubt back a little bit and just kind of go with your instinct and see what happens. So I was still jobless at the time, just going to school. And my parents fell on hard times, so I decided, okay, I need to get a job. So I cut my school back to part-time or half-time, and I needed like a job. So I figured if I can get a paid TA position, this is the way I'll go through it. So I asked a couple of my professors, nothing. One of them suggested that I go to the television production department and see if I can get a part-time or a paid TA position on the college news at AWC. Went in, there was nothing, but the professor was really helpful, and she's like, why don't you go apply at the local TV station? They're hiring people out of high school for summer jobs, part-time positions, whatever. And so I was like, what can I lose? So like, I have nothing to lose. I went. It was a Friday afternoon. I was walking into the main lobby, and one of my best friends from high school was walking out. And I was just like, oh shit, like, hey, how's it going? And she was like, what are you doing here? I was like, I came to apply for a job. She's like, I'm working here. I was like, why don't I just take you up to my manager and like, I'll vouch for you. Went up there. We talked for about 90 minutes, me and her boss. And I walked out. She's like, here's an application, apply. And right when I was going to shut the door, she's like, that's just a formality, right? Because I need the paperwork. You got the job. You're starting Monday.
Wow.
And I was just like, yeah. And she's like, you're just going to do graphics for us. So I got a part-time job at the local TV station, and the rest is history. 6 months in, it was sort of like right place, right time.
Yes.
I started, and then like 3 people who were ahead of me for the technical director job, just based on seniority, they were all best friends from high school. They were all going to move to San Diego. So I was just that 4th person up. So 6 months in, I got promoted to technical director. A year in, I got promoted to full-time director. And then I was there for 2 years and 2.5 years. And then when my boss left, she just said, like, she's like, I see good things for you. Like you got a good eye. You know how to do this well. She lined up like 3 jobs for me. I got 3 interviews. I went to all of them. I went to Green Bay, Wisconsin to interview, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Fresno, California. And I went with Fresno because I wanted to do news for my people and my language. So that was Univision. And I went with them, and I was with the company for a little over 8 years. And I was there for 6 years. Then they transferred me to Houston to start a morning show for them. And then, ESPN on LinkedIn one day just, hey, we have a job we think you'd be good for. Do you want to fly over? And I was like, sure. And a week and a half later, I got the job. 2 weeks later, I moved here, and that was it. And I hit the ground running. Yeah.
You're like, what? USPN? What you said? ESPN?
Yeah. And then once I got the job, and it was like, whenever, let's do this. And hit the ground running. I was told first month, you're just going to learn things. And
Yeah.
vacation and maternity leave, it was like, okay, we need you to direct the soccer show. So I just started doing soccer when I got here, which is something that I love anyway. And
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah.
Javi, this is just a joke on, just something I just thought of when you were saying you got, detail for eyes. I noticed the painting on your wall. I'm the same way. I was like, wow, look at that. It's all lined up. It's all nice, the spacing, everything
It
else.
looks crooked right now because I'm like shifted.
Yeah,
So the
but
computer's
Javi, I was thinking, they needed you for Games of Thrones. Remember the coffee cup, the infamous
all
coffee
right.
cup?
Yeah. And then like the
Yeah,
water bottle that was hidden away. Yeah.
you would
I
have
would have
caught
caught it
that.
because I did see when I was watching that episode, I remember like, what the hell was that? Like, I was like, was that a coffee that was there? And like we were around it, my sister was like, that's a Starbucks cup. I was like, oh shit, like that's not
Yeah.
good. This
Yeah, I
doesn't
love
exist there.
that. Yeah, I love that. I'm the same way too, Javi. Like I'm always when I'm watching TV, like a TV
Mhm.
show or something, my eyes always, going over like, 10,000 different places, looking at things.
Yeah.
But Javi, can you explain like you said you are the director for ESPN? Is a director for like the sports section? Like
So
what does that entail?
so our department is a pretty large one. We have about 35 directors at ESPN, and we
Wow.
have about 45 associate directors who are basically our right-hand man, woman. So we're just trained in every variety of sports that you can think of. So basically, when you come in, they ask you, what do you like? So for me, it's soccer, football, and tennis. Those are just sports that I grew up loving.
Yeah.
And all right, it was like, okay, well, soccer, here you go. So I started doing a daily soccer show, 1 hour, basic stuff. From there, like you do a good job, then they start putting you on bigger projects. So then I started doing NFL Live and then Sports Center. And it just, yeah, you just grow and it's a very interesting way of doing things because when you're in local news, it's the same every day. Other than the actual stories, it's the same. You come in, two shot, you establish your top story, you might go out to a reporter live. Weather's always in the C, sports are always in the fourth segment, the D's, what we would call them. This is way different because you would do shows that were completely analytical. So it was four guys sitting around talking about a game, and you're just basically cutting a conversation. Someone might be talking, you might be talking, but someone's reacting really well to what you're saying. So I want to show them. So I'll cut to them, even though you're talking. And that's sort of where it differs. It's not a scripted show where you have like something that says like, okay, this person's going to say this. This is where you take the VO. This is all covered by video. Then you come back on camera. Then you go to sound. It was a completely different way of directing. And it also broadened my scope because then you had to think about, what do I want behind them? If they're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi, I want the most current images of them with their most current team. I don't want a jersey from 2 years ago. I want to make sure that, or if it's World Cup, it's Lionel Messi with Argentina, Cristiano Ronaldo with Portugal. Like those are the things that you start, like it elevated the way you direct, right? Because now you're thinking about all those things and sometimes you wouldn't even have like a structure to it. It's just like whatever the talent want to talk about. Whereas Sports Center is very much Hannah Storm says this, then you go to video, you put it back on camera, then you're going to go to the other talent. And then, so you're following a script and you're just going off of that. So that's what it was. That was a challenge. It was every day. I mean, but there was weeks when once I got really settled in, there was weeks when like Monday I was doing Sports Center, Tuesday I was doing NFL Live, Wednesday I was doing fantasy football, Thursday I was doing like an anthology show with features and like harder news, and then Friday I might have been doing like soccer or baseball or NBA if that's what was going on.
Right.
So it really depends on where they need you. It's much more challenging, but it's much more fun.
Oh, it's more fun. It's not stressful though, Javi, because I mean, it's like you said, it's like organic, like it's not scripted, right? So you really have to be on top of your game.
Yeah, but it's stressful in the sense that you always want to do a good job. Yes. And my philosophy for my job is that I always want to make talent look good. I don't want them to look bad because they are the face of the show. Nobody knows who I am. You can see my name on credits, but no one knows what my face looks like. No one can find me and tell me that cut that wrong. You went too early to that. But talent, but you have a lot of control about how good or bad talent looks.
Yeah.
So that's always my philosophy. So as long as I can put a good show on where talent's happy,
Yes.
then I let the things that I think I could have done better sort of go away, because I'm a big proponent of not taking my job home with me. I try to come home
Yes.
and
I
not
need to
think
do
about
that.
it.
Yes.
And there's a lot. I would rather take my job home now than it was when I was doing news, because news, it was always, if it bleeds, it leads, fatality in an accident, kidnapping, whatever. It was always hard news. Here, yes, you lose sports figures, but most of the time it's people who have been around for a long time, like a Muhammad Ali, where you knew it was
Yeah.
coming. Or, yeah, you have tragic instances like the Marlins pitcher who killed himself tragically on a boat, in a boating accident. And those things do still hit you, but for the most part, it's fun.
Yes.
And that's always even with my crew, when they come in, I'm just like, talk shit, have fun. If you think I could have done something better, talk to me about it. With my camera crew, like my studio crew, I always say, like, this studio better than I do. You know it because you're in it. So if I'm asking for something and you have something that you think looks better, I might disagree, but always sell it to me. Always say, like, what if I do this? What if I come in from the left instead of the right? What if whatever. So I'm a big, and that's what makes it fun. I'm a big proponent in letting everybody have their space, because I'm not the expert and I'm not the only person doing a show. It really does take a huge team to put it on the air.
Yes, I think that's amazing. I can see you in your element right now, and I love that you do give the opportunities for your co-workers, what I mean, to actually like show their talent even, or even like even challenge you and say, hey, look, you ever thought about if we come from the left that it looks different or looks better, that perspective.
Yeah.
I love that. Javi, okay, now I know we don't have that much time left, but let's talk about the 2 Emmys you won and how were you able to win? I mean, a lot of people in our lifetime, I mean, 1 Emmy is like a dream. Yes, yes, show that. Woo! Yes,
The
please,
label's on that
please.
side, but yeah.
Yes, tell us, how were you able to win an Emmy and what's it for? Can you tell us?
So this one is for best show. The one back there, that's for directing.
Yes.
And then I just won one a couple of weeks ago, which I'm not getting that statue for a couple of months because of COVID. Everything is backed up. Honestly, it's a lot of it is luck. You do something that you really like. So for example, the Emmys are kind of unique in the way that you have to submit something to get nominated for it. So you have to basically think that you did something really good, submit it, and then they decide whether they want to nominate it, and then based on the nominations, whoever's in can win. I thought when we did this show, the one for best newscast, we just thought we had a really good show, and our producer said, let's submit. I think this could win, and I agreed. When she said what show she wanted to submit, I was like, I think that is our winner. It was so good. It was just one of the best shows.
What show was it? What show
This
was it?
So this one was from 2000. This was, what year was this? This was 2009. This first one. That was 2010.
Yeah.
This one was for an H1N1 show that we did back when we didn't think pandemics were really real.
Oh, you're talking about that flu thing, right? H1N1. Oh my God, it caused such a panic in Yuma. Everybody was at the mall trying to get a shot. I took my whole family to get a shot. I ended up getting it because my kids were sick. They couldn't get a shot.
You had to, and now that's, I think, why a lot of now with COVID, it's sort of surreal that it ever happened, because it never really, SARS never really did what COVID did, H1N1 never did it. So when I heard about this one, I was just like, it'll be fine. We'll be out of it in like a couple of weeks. Nobody will talk about it, and then the world shut down. And so basically, and that was it. It was about H1N1, and we thought we did a really good job. We had excellent team coverage, and we submitted it and won. The following year, I did a show that was mostly sports-based and health-based. And I just thought, like, nobody really liked it, but I was like, I feel like I directed this really well. So I submitted it for myself. And this one we won as a team. That one I won individually.
You are insane. You are just Oh my
And
gosh.
the one I'm hopefully getting in a couple of months, that's for Sports Center. We won for Sports Center.
Wait, Javi, so you're gonna have 3 Emmy? Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Javi, that's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I just won my third one, which is really, it's really special. It's
Okay,
been,
you can't just retire now, okay? 3 Emmy, come on.
I'm, I'm still too young. Maybe if I can sell them for some money, like, yeah.
Yeah, this is like retirement, okay? Don't forget your teacher, okay, Javi? Okay,
Teacher
okay.
appreciation.
Yeah, teacher. Javi, can you make a plastic one, for me,
Like,
so I can put it
like,
on my shelf? I can say, look, see my student Javi, he gave me his Emmy.
like a little mold of one, yeah, like spray
Yeah, a
painted
more
gold.
one. Yeah, I would love that. Javi, how do you find out? How do you find out? Like, do they call you? They send you a letter, email? What's
So
the
it's a
procedure?
ceremony like what you see on TV, smaller scale.
Yeah,
But it's a ceremony where the nominees are invited. This year, again, due to COVID, there was
yeah.
no ceremony. It was all done online. So we were watching the ceremony the way I'm talking to you, and we would see the presenters come out, and we just, yeah, Sports Center won, and everybody, the team was just like, yes. But yeah, these two, I was actually at the ceremony, so I was able to like accept them on stage, and you give your
Yeah.
speech and everything. It's very fun.
How did your
I think I lost your audio. I can't hear you. It's like your light went out and then I lost your audio. It's not me, is it?
my sound is still on?
Oh, I thought I. Oh, there you are.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're just
Yeah.
out of sync now, but I do hear you.
That was weird, right,
Hi,
Javi?
you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Javi, how did your family react? Do they even understand the significance of it, of this Emmy?
Kind of. I mean, everybody, like my cousins did. My mother did. My mother went pretty crazy. Like my mom she was telling everybody. I mean, people who didn't even know us. Like she was just saying, like, oh, like my son won an Emmy. My son won an Emmy. Um, it's yeah. I mean, it was a wild thing. Again, because you don't really ever expect it. Like you get nominated, and as cheesy as it sounded, it really is like an honor to be nominated. But when you win, it's sort of, I mean, yeah, you kind of go like, I'm glad I won. I'm glad I wasn't just nominated, that I actually won it
Right?
too. Um, so yeah, no, I mean, my grandmother now understands the significance. So this last time, a couple of weeks ago, she called me and she congratulated me, and she was very happy for me. But everybody else in my family, yeah, they just know that it's the highest honor you can win for working in television. So it's just it was wild. It's kind of bananas. I still can't believe it happened.
I know. And then when I first saw your picture, I was like, wait, wait a minute. I recognize that statue. No way. I go, is he at like a Halloween party or something's going on? Yeah.
Yeah,
But no, Javi, I'm so proud of you. I
I
mean,
thank you so much.
I'm excited to see what your future holds. I mean, like, what else you are going to top that? Like, how are you going to top that?
I
Like,
don't know.
seriously, Javi, what are you going to do?
I don't know. You know what? I got to do some pretty cool things. You know, we pitched a Hispanic Heritage Month show, so we did that, and it came out really well. I got to do the NBA Finals 2 years in a row, in 2015 and 2016. So I got to travel around a little bit for that. Yeah, I did Euros in 2016 last time, so I got to do the Euros tournament. Yeah, it's projects. I like being on projects. I like something that I can focus all my creative energy on. And yeah, I mean, and it's like I'm one to, I told you about it. Like I'm a college dropout. I dropped out of college, so this has been the most unexpected journey that I think I could have ever imagined for my life. Um, and yeah, I'm just grateful every day for the opportunities I've had, every
And then
single one.
Javi, in a weird way, you dropping out, it worked out at the end. Maybe that's what needed to happen. You need to feel that one thing because your life was meant to go in a different direction, you
Yeah,
know? So I mean it's like everything kind of like like fell into place when you moved
Mhm.
back to Yuma. That's so crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've always, my family's a big believer in what's meant for you is meant for you, and no
Yes.
matter what comes your way, you just kind of, maybe it'll take you a little bit longer than
Yeah.
if you would have gone with another path. But I do
Yeah.
think like and I think it's with everything. I think it's every choice you make to like take a job, or even if it's buy a house or get into a relationship, have a child, whatever it might be, like those are things that were meant for you and maybe take you off of your path for a little bit, but I think you always find your way back onto it. And it's something I've told my sisters the same way. My sister didn't like going to school, and I was like, you know what? Study a trade. You don't have to go to a university. You can be you just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can't be a contractor. Doesn't mean you
Yes.
can't, you know, put up drywall, build houses. Like you can do all of those things without a college degree. You just have to
Yes.
find something that you love and go for it. And she literally just got a job with CBS Sports, and now she's going to be working with CBS Sports too. So she's,
See?
following in like the steps of her brother, but she's
Yeah.
doing her own thing. So it's really cool, you know.
Right?
Yeah, and I think we
Ironically,
were just always like, I just always want to do something artistic. I think that was like my one thing, is that like I knew that I wasn't a lawyer or a doctor.
I
I always knew it was just something else for me, and it always involved art. I always liked drawing. I always liked, since I had a camera, I always liked shooting things. Yeah, always, yeah.
yeah. Amazing. All right, Javi, our time is up, but one last advice, you want to give people who are watching in terms of success or failure.
Um, I would always say, no matter what, be humble. And if you fail, like own up to it, because I do think that, I mean, scar tissue really does make you stronger. Um, I've failed many times. I've had bad shows. I've had shows that are, I mean, where I've contemplated quitting. I've had shows at ESPN like that, where like I've been pulled into the manager's office, and
Wow.
but it's always constructive. They never say you failed. It's like, maybe
Yeah.
you need to concentrate a little bit more on this. Maybe you need to like devote more time to this. And that's what I would say. Always find the people that care about you, because you'll know based on the advice, if they care about you, if they care about your growth. If it's criticizing to put you down, to make you feel like you failed, then it's people you don't want in your corner. If it's somebody who's critiquing you in an honest way, you should try to keep those people in your life as much as you can, even when you move on, which is, again, one of the reasons why I think when I saw you, I reached out to you, because I was like, she was always such a great teacher. It's so helpful. And I found my memory book. So that was the other reason too, that I was kind of like,
Oh,
oh,
you
shit,
still
like,
have it, Javi?
yeah. So it's like things like that. I think no matter what, you just because it's been 20 years doesn't mean that like
Yeah.
it doesn't impact, right? So I would say hold on to great advice always. And again, if you fail, try again. Like, just don't let it get you down.
Yeah. Javi, like I really appreciate you saying that because there's days like you, right? Getting pulled in sometimes to the office, there's days for me where I go and cry and go like, why am I doing this? Like the kids really don't care. And why do I continue? Am I being the best I can for these kids, or should I call it, quit, So hearing you say that, like the things that you remember from our class, and and how you never give up, and you remember the things that we did as well, it really like inspired me, like it inspires
Good.
me to like continue doing what I have to do in the classroom to reach these kids that I have, this year coming up, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And hey, the next time they pull you into the office to talk to you, just hold the Emmy up.
So you're like, remember, I got this now.
Hey, say, excuse me, but not one, but two, but
Yeah.
three.
You're
Like that
critiquing an
salt guy,
Emmy
that
winner, sir. Exactly.
have you do like the salt guy with the new steak,
Yeah, like,
instead throw your Emmy, yeah, go.
I know. I don't know. It's a little heavy, but
Yeah,
it's really
I love
heavy.
it. I know, right? I love it. You should do that. You should do like a parody of that or something. I would love it. All
Mm,
right, sweetie. I know it's time to go, so thank you so much for your time.
mm.
Yes, keep in contact with me and continue to be amazing and just be you. I'm
Thank you.
excited to see what award. And if we do go to the Super Bowl, the 49ers, okay? We need to be there. That's all I have to
We need to
say.
make it happen somehow.
Hi,
Tailgate and
smooth.
everything.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, guys. So if you guys like the video, like, share and subscribe and share with other people that will find value in this. And thank you so much for being here. And remember, guys, we have to care about each other as human beings. That's the most important thing to remember. Okay, and have a great day.